For 5 years, Vanessa Hill was one of the most recognizable television anchors here in Charleston as one of the main anchors at WCIV TV. Now she's on a new journey, and she tells me why for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Vanessa Hill.
Yeah. Hi.
Welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Oh, this is amazing. I have known him since you were a teenager.
That's right.
I always thought you hustled then, and everything I thought about you is real. So it's good to be with you. Honored to be with you today.
Thank you.
Very much so.
I'm honored to be with you because you are a legend in this town, whether you like it or not.
Ah!
You are a history preserver. You are one of the first female African American television anchors in this town.
I was the first.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you made history.
I did.
And you still continue to make history to this day.
I'm working it every day. Yeah.
Who is Vanessa Hill these days?
I'm more introspective, but I also will not play. You know?
Yes.
There was a time in my life, especially when you're in television.
Yeah.
At that time in your life, you're very measured in what you say.
Yes.
You don't want to be offensive to anyone,
Right.
even though the words they speak are offensive to you.
Sure.
You can't do that. That's not the way you're supposed to do it. Now, I say what I feel. I may be measured in it, but at the outcome, you know exactly where my head is. And I like that about me. I like that I can do that now. I have permission. My age gives me permission to do that. So I'm enjoying that liberty.
What else are you able to do? What else do you have the permission to do now that you are at your age, you have that liberty?
You know, I created my own business during COVID.
Wow.
It was something I never thought that I would do, but it's a floristry business. I always liked flowers. And when I worked as a PR liaison at the medical university, I was always with these young admin ladies
You sure were.
who wanted to get married, but they had to make choices. Do I get all of the flowers that I want, or do I get the dress that I want? I felt so sorry for them. I said, listen, all the time. I did it more than once. I said, I will do your flowers free of charge.
Yes.
You will just pay me for the flowers.
Yeah.
The setup, everything. I've got you. I got your back. It's going to be fine. And I did that several times. I had always decorated my home, but it was more of like a pastime.
Yeah.
Then, a couple of years ago, during COVID, the height of COVID, the River Dogs were giving their launch for their spring season. There you go. Thank you. And the accountant, PR person, all of that consolidated, I was with her that night, and she was lamenting the fact that she wanted to have flowers on the table for everybody. And what's his name, the comedian? Bill Murray, who is a part owner. He's going to be there. I'm going to end up stacking up balls on the table because I can't, they won't let me have the budget I want. And once again, I said, okay, I'll do that for you. Don't worry about it. I've got you. You don't have to pay anything but for the flowers. I think they were charging $1,600, but the flowers only cost me $350. Yeah, because there's such an upcharge. So I said, you'll pay me nothing. Just enjoy these. Happy to do that for you. It was with my signature, which is you'll never see stems. If you want stems, go to FTD or 1-800-FLORIST because I'm going to design for you. That's what I do. That's what I did for them, but there was a problem. I had no business cards because it wasn't a business. All of those years that I did that, it was just me doing that. But then everybody at her event wanted a business card. You know what I thought? This is crazy. But I thought, what if Bill Murray wants to do a party and he wants me, but he can't find me? So I go out and have business cards created, And then I had the opportunity to join Second Sunday downtown on their comeback after being in hiatus for a year and a half. So I said, okay, I'll do that, but I need a license. So I got my floristry license. So it's like, okay, let's just call it a business, call it a day. And that's what I did, and I have loved it. I have great clients because I'm not going to do it like anybody else does. A couple of things that I do. I remember years ago, my big brother always sent me flowers because he knew that I loved them, and he would send them. He never knew how they looked, and he never knew what time they arrived. He just had the assurity of FTD or 1-800 or whatever that they would arrive on that day. Here's what I do. I will create the flowers for you. You'll never see stems. You would be amazed at the things I put in those vases. You'll never see stems. And before I deliver it to the person whom you are wishing to have a great day, I'll take a picture of it for you and send it back to you and say, this is what your arrangement looks like. They're always happy. My husband said one time, you're acting like you're wanting permission for them to like what you do. And I said, I don't have to worry about that. That's going to be fine. I want to assure them that this is the arrangement and that this is going out. And when they're delivered, I will text them and say, delivered. Those are elements that no one else in Charleston, no 800 number, they don't do that. But I will always, the client will always be assured of what they get, and the recipient always seems to be happy, and they email me back, and so I just celebrated on Mother's Day, my first year of doing this.
When did you get that assurance that this was a business for you?
Whenever Bill Murray could have had a business card and I didn't have one. So let me tell you, one time I was doing a wedding down at the corner of Broad and LeGree, that huge church that I can't think of the name of.
Oh, Cathedral St. John the Baptist.
Right there, So I was doing her wedding. Unfortunately, that was the day of the South Carolina Clemson game. You don't disturb my husband during the South Carolina Clemson game. So he's in bemoaning the fact as he's bringing in the things for me, and that's a huge church. So the flowers have to be humongous, dynamic. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
So he's look. I need to see the game. And why am I here? I need to go to the game, and then he keeps going on and on. Well, the father of that church happened to be taking his stroll around the church. And he hears my husband, and he goes, son, you're in the Father's house, and you should be giving him praise. My husband said, Jesus ain't here. He's somewhere watching the game. And that's all I want to do is, that's all I want to do is watch the game. I was like, oh, I don't know if he'll ever make a good delivery guy. This isn't working. But he's the best delivery man ever. Ever.
What were those elements of a floral arrangement business that you are still learning about today?
Oh. I remember this was several months ago, and I had a good friend who worked at Channel 4. She worked behind the camera, and her mom was passing. And she wanted me to do the spray. Now, I've always been afraid of a spray. First of all, they're big. And am I going to make it so big that it will tip over because of the arch on the casket? Like, what do I do to stabilize that? How does that go? And there's the number one florist in Myrtle Beach has become my mentor. I called him and said, I can do the arrangement. I know how to do that, but I don't know how to do the logistics. I don't know how to make it work so that it's stabilized. I'm afraid that it will slide off. How do I stabilize that? Whatever. He said, come up and spend the day with me. And so I went up. He was fabulous. I went up, and spent the day with him. He taught me so many things about how to stabilize that, what to do. And did you know that on caskets that you see big sprays, there's a kind of a lining for kitchen drawers, but it has a kind of grip on it.
Yes.
He said, I cut those out and I send them to the florist of whom I work.
Right.
That goes on top of the spray. So that's going to give you extra cushion. And then on the bottom of the containers that you use, that has cushion too. So not having gone to FTD school, thank goodness, that was something that I didn't know. But my cousin, who is in North Carolina and looks at my flowers, he says, you know, you can tell that you're out of the box with whatever you do. He said, and had you gone to learn how to do this, you would be traditional like everyone else. So don't worry about not going where everybody else goes, because all other flowers look the same. If you need to learn how to stabilize something for a casket or whatever, then you find that wherever you can. But don't do the traditional route. I never have. I never will.
What else are you doing outside of the box that nobody else around here is doing?
I can't really be sure. I mean, I don't know. That keeps my day going every single day. I have orders for that.
Good.
Yeah, so that's great.
Thank God.
I'm amazed. It was supposed to be a little thing that started out as a hobby and things I did for my house. So now there's so much more. But what I'd like to do is, if there are children and if there are moms who say, I remember you when I was in 2nd grade. Oh God, don't date me, please. Not yet. Give me a little time on that. I spend time with the children to say, you can absolutely do whatever you want to do. Never let anyone stop you. Never let anyone change your dream. You may have to amend that dream, but do what you want to do. And if it's the right thing for you, you will walk right into it. Because no one would have told me 10 or 15 years ago that I would be a florist with my own business. Even though I loved doing it, did it for my home. All of my neighbors would come over to look at my home. I didn't have one Christmas tree, because if my Christmas tree were in the living room, that means if I were in my kitchen, I couldn't see it. I thought, how unfair. So I had one in the living room. And then if I went up to the family room, that means I couldn't see Christmas, because that was... So I made so there would be 3 with different personalities. The one upstairs would be the toy tree. And I still have my daughter. I still have some of her arrangements on the toy tree. And a tall, big tree. So I invite the nieces and the great nieces and nephews, and we put all the kiddie stuff under that. And then the one in the kitchen has apple decorate. And get it? You got me?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. See how I trust you, because I didn't go back and go, did he get it? And I bake the apples. So that the tree, and they dry and it always smells good. And then in the living room, it's always a white Christmas. Always a white Christmas.
What is that total experience with Flowers by Vanessa?
The total experience is... I'll tell you the total experience. Okay, it took me a second to process that, but the smile. The smile on the faces of the people who receive my arrangements. The smiles are so huge that it just makes my day. And my husband, an engineer, all electrical and mathematical, he delivers for me. And his biggest thrill is coming back to say, they really liked it. That's the clincher. So any big company and its ownership who doesn't get to see that joy, I feel sorry for them. But I don't feel sorry for me, because I'm a one-man band with my husband along the way, who is the COO, because I don't do the taxes on that. That's his job. And sometimes he has said, well, I think you should do this or that. And I will say, then you do that arrangement and I'll do the taxes.
Right,
so he goes, I can't do that. I'm like, so stay in your lane. It's okay. Stay right there. You'll be fine. But that's the biggest joy.
Yes,
you don't know how it is to deliver flowers to a chemo patient.
Oh yeah.
Who has had a sad day, and they get these beautiful arrangements with beautiful vases. Because my thing is, you don't just look at the top of the bouquet.
Yes.
When you look at my flowers, you look from the bottom up and the top down. It's a total design. And they're enamored by that, and I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled by that every single day. That it's more than anybody else is giving. So, if there were joy in this, I have always lived and worked in Charleston to bring a smile. I got it now.
Yeah, since 1994.
That's right. You remember the year? Stop. You're dating me once again. Stop. Yeah. To see that joy, and it happens almost every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
I got 2 questions for you.
Sure.
How much time did you give yourself to make this right? The floral arrangements business?
You see, I must have given it the 8 years when I was doing that for others without cost. I was tweaking what I was doing.
Yeah.
So by the time I said, okay, we'll do the license, I had most of the kinks out. Yeah, because I had done it so much for it. Oh, and the brides.
Oh, yes.
In those early days, and how they were happy because they had the dress that they wanted, and they had the floral arrangements and the bridal bouquets. So it worked. Yeah, back then, it took me a minute to go, okay, I need to do this, and maybe I need to do that, and maybe I can make this better next time. But those young brides were so happy to have it. I was critical of me. So I worked through all of that. So by the time I started this officially, it was easy. Had I started this 8 or 9 years ago, it wouldn't be what it is today. I didn't have to learn a lot. Because if you learn while doing, then I did it.
What else do you have to learn about this, Miss Vanessa?
About floristry?
Yes, ma'am.
I thought at one time that I was just going to do it for me. It was going to be a quiet venture. Now I'm telling my husband, now that he's retired, I'm going to learn how to market this. That's what I want to learn. Learning how to market my signature and what I'm doing. So if there's anything to learn, it's how to get it out there. That this is who I am and this is what I do. And you can trust me because you'll see the flowers before the recipient does.
And you're a journalist. We always did trust you.
I hope so. I hope you did. I worked very hard at that.
You sure did. And we miss those days, those great television days.
I know.
It's nothing like it is now.
It's very different. It's very different.
How do we get from the good times in television news to now, Miss Vanessa?
I don't know. I think it's troubling. I think oftentimes the news is more troubling. So that's a problem. I think that there is such an effort for every TV station. Oh, we've got to go through that next book. And how are we going to get it bigger and better? And sometimes we're not taking the right avenues to get that done so that it appeals to the people. I came here from a Florence station. Loved it. It was number 1. Loved it. I came here to a number 3 station. And I worked very hard to say, maybe we should do this. Maybe we should do that. Maybe we shouldn't center around so much of black and white. I found that very problematic. I think that for them that was going to be the big chaos. If we could start that chaos, people would look at us to see the outcome of that chaos. And there was chaos when there never should have been chaos. I thought that if we handled that another way, if we got out there and worked our buns off and let people know who we are, I thought that that would be different. But I also think, the CBS station here is number 1. Heck, if you put up color bars, they'll still be number 1. It was the first station here. And that's what happens with that, which means you're going to have to work 1,000,000 times harder to say, I'm here. I want to be there for you. There was a different dynamic with that. And I don't think that dynamic has changed, because the station that I work for is still number 3.
After 26 years?
Yes, after all that time, right.
And when you came here, I remember it was close to a strong number 2 because you had Dean Swanson, and before, obviously.
Yeah, but see, they kicked Dean Swanson out because it was wavering between a number 2 and a number 3. Right? And so they were like, well, let's get this other guy. Well, that other guy wasn't a good setting for them.
And you.
At all.
You told me.
Right, there wasn't. And so I wanted them to rethink that. And I was very happy that in Charleston, they do these Q scores. Right? And thank you. Keep the babies away from me, because we don't want to dance on camera. I've never been good at doing that. And I was out of the box. There's a box that you're in and your Q score. I was out of the box. Debbie Chard was the only other person out of the box. You would expect that. She had already been here a couple of decades. So it was an honor for me to be out of the box with her. Everybody else was in the box. So what they decided to do is they said, okay, everybody loves her, so let's build up her co-anchor. Let's give him all of the airtime because we want them to love him. Well, he was there a year or so before I was there. They didn't love him then. Yeah, and so they weren't loving him when I was there. So then I was reduced, literally, to a token. I just needed to be on set. And he had basically the whole show. And then that wasn't working because the people who wanted to see me were only seeing me on the 2 shots. Open and close. Tease.
I never paid attention to that, Miss Vanessa.
Oh, that was massive. That was huge. And so I felt like, well, then you don't need my experience, my work, my years, my service at all. So that never worked for them. But their plan, their logic was, okay, we've got them watching her, so let's build him up. Only they didn't want to watch him.
He was not connecting with the audience.
Ever.
He wasn't connecting with the people behind the scenes.
Ever. Right. And you know that because you were there. But that's what they tried, and that's what they tried. And it didn't work for them.
This is another logical question. Had they kept Dean Swanson and put you guys together, you would have been number 1.
You darn Skippy. Because he has the personality to work with another person and not the ego to say, I want more lines. We could have done that. It would have been amazing. But that wasn't to be. And so I know that sometimes people go, well, why did God do that to me? Why did he take me away from the career that I had trained in, that I loved so much? And what I believe God was doing was saying, but you could do so much more than that. You know? I have Southeastern Spine.
Yes, I watched it all the time overnight.
Right, because that's when we're on. That's when our ratings are the best.
Or Saturday mornings.
Saturday mornings. So I enjoy doing that. That gives me enough television to still stay there in that pocket and give me an opportunity to do floristry. I really think that the station that I worked for didn't know how to get where they wanted to be. And because of that reason, they're still not there.
No.
But you know what? It's not my issue.
Is you no more? No, not.
No, I don't have to worry about it.
That's right.
I'm happy for them. I like the anchor that they have. I'm hoping for gains for them.
Yeah, it was Tessa.
Right. But I'm hoping for gains with what I do too.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's all good.
All good. And you know what? Not even, that was a month ago. Me and the family went up to Conway because my brother graduated from Coastal Carolina University.
My daughter graduated from Coastal. I love Coastal.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Love it there.
So I'm sitting in the bleachers with my family, and I look out to the crowd. Who was it? Bob Juback from WBTW.
Yep.
So after the graduation, I went down there and I lost my family trying to get to him.
Right.
I sat down and talked to him. I said, hey, you know, I watch you all the time online, and I remember you from your days working with Vanessa Hill at WCIV.
Right. Well, can I tell you the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
He was the anchor that I was trying to bring in. I was trying to bring in Bob, and Bob was ready to come. And Channel 4 felt that they could remake the anchor that I had, and I was like, not so much. Let's just try something else. And when I found out that they had re-upped his contract, I literally threw up. I was at home when I got the call, and they told me that. I was so devastated because I'm like, you can't keep doing the same things and expect a different or better response or outcome. That's not how that works. So, you know, this isn't working. Anyway, it was Bob, and he would have come.
Wow.
And we would have been anchors again.
Yeah, I told he spoke highly of you.
I love him.
Yeah, he's the best. And I'm going to send him this interview, by the way.
Are you?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. I wanted Bob with me down here. Yeah, but I think they think, you know, that's the old establishment. Let's be sure of that. I don't know any of the establishment now, but the old establishment felt that they could actually recreate a person. And, oh, well, if we give that person the hardest news stories and more FaceTime, then they'll be known as the credentialed person to come and watch. But he never connected. Bob Juback would have connected. I kept telling them, Bob and I have done this for a long time. Yes. Let's just give it a minute. It'll work. They said he needed to have something different. He was just a regular anchor. Maybe sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah.
Is a regular anchor.
And if he was a regular anchor, he wouldn't be number one, obviously.
He wouldn't have at all. Bob is fabulous.
Yes.
I will always love him. And see, we were a family then.
Yes.
I mean, we had each other's back all the time. It was amazing there. It was amazing. What I found in Charleston that I love is it was not necessarily that establishment in which I worked and came to be known as a legend.
Yes.
They weren't that kind of family, but Charleston became my family. Yeah, so I found a different family outside of there.
Right.
That's why Floristry works for me, because there are people here who support me like you would not ever believe.
And you left the area, in 99 when they brought in another anchor?
Yeah, there was an array of people because they were waiting for someone who ended up suing them.
Right.
And making a great deal of money off of them.
I heard.
And then all of those head people were ultimately displaced. Yeah.
It took a little time, but it happened.
It happened. But you know, things happen.
Yeah.
If you can live long enough and wait long enough and do it with a clear head and heart, you'll see that things will happen. I have no regrets for going there.
Yeah.
I do have regrets once in a while for having been there for 5 years.
Right.
But I have no regrets for learning and knowing the people that I know.
Yes.
Because they're there for me.
Yes.
All the time.
All the time, yeah.
All the time.
All the time. And these people have been with you for decades now.
Yes, decades. Gray hair and all. But you don't see it, do you? Because I have on the hat. There's always a plan.
Yes. And you know what, Miss Vanessa? I didn't know this. But
what part of it?
But back in 2014, after your TV life obviously ended, well, it's still going on, obviously.
Yeah, but the anchor life is gone.
Gone.
And that's fine. Don't be sad.
Oh, no. Well.
Smile about it.
You were one of the best.
Yeah, but I'm okay. I'm totally okay. I'm totally pleased with the progression of my life. Because a lot of things that happened in that environment, I don't have to ever let happen to me again. So if you're trying to safeguard yourself and keep your brain strong, then you don't want to sacrifice yourself to keep the job and to make everybody else happy. See, I don't have to do that anymore. I also can eat anything I want. I am no longer a size 4 and I'm happy.
You still look great.
Yeah, but I'm not a size 4 and I'm pleased with that.
Pleased with that.
Yeah, I'm very pleased.
How do you safeguard yourself these days?
I work at home. I work in my kitchen. So many days I'm alone except for a delivery.
Right.
I'm sure that there are others out there now in the floristry business who are going, well, she's there and she's doing this and she's doing that. The first thing I'm not going to do is think that I'm going to get rich with this.
Okay.
That's never my plan. I do this as my joy.
Yeah.
I also don't have to deal with several people above me changing the way I design and the way I decorate. I do what I want to do.
Yes.
It's so liberating.
Wow.
Wait until you get there. It is so amazing to be able to do things and succeed at it the way that you think is best for your client. Then that's what works for you. Yeah, I mean, it works for me.
Yes.
I'm happy.
Happy. And what is that typical client experience?
Well, they tell me what they want. Sometimes I'll send them suggestions and say, I'll send them pictures. Do you want this, this, or this? And they'll go, yes, but put you on it. You know, my spin, the way I would do it. I appreciate that very much. I'm telling you, I love it whenever I arrive with them or my husband. I'm telling you, it's his big thing. Let me tell you what's so funny about him. When he gets a tip, even if it's a $5 tip, which is a big deal. Yeah. But he walks in the house like he just won the lottery. I'm telling you, a person's smile and joy of what we do. I am not going to triple, quadruple the price of what the flowers are because I really don't have to. I don't have a standalone building. I don't have that. So I'm going to cut costs for you. And if that happens, I'm still going to hold to the same philosophy. I'm not going to cheat you out of your flowers. You're going to have what you want. Now, I told you that I was thinking one day about expanding. It's okay if it doesn't happen for another 6 months or a year. I work every single day.
Yes, you do.
And so I don't, I'm fine if I'm not doing 10 flowers a day, but I can concentrate on 2 or 3 orders a day. Then they get the best of me. So I can't complain if it grows. There is someone that I would like to teach. What I do, the way I do it. I'm not there yet. I don't want that at this moment. But I'm sure that will happen. And I would want that person to love working with me. See, I don't want any undercover guys. Like, we'll go to because there's a #1 florist downtown in Charleston who said, well, you are a great florist, come and work for me. No, that's not going to work. And so then they said, so sweet. I'll tell you what, we'll deliver your flowers for you.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and so if they deliver it, it's under the cloak of what they do. Not what I do. So I know that what I'm doing is just fine. Yeah, when you get the top florist in Charleston to say, come and work, or we will drive and deliver your flowers, well, hallelujah. But no.
Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you, Jesus, but no. It's okay. And I love that florist. Those messages were sent to someone who was my client. I was just so proud that I was being applauded like that they let me know those bits of applause. So I love that person. I'll never want to compete with him. I only compete with me. If I can't give you the best that I have, I'm simply not going to do it. There are days that I work all day and into the night, and I know at night when I'm tired. I know when I have to say, my design brain has shut off. So I will start at 6 o'clock in the morning. But see, when you are your own business, you can work absolutely all day. And I don't have to crush it with, all of these have to be done by 4 or 5. I will let people know you're going to get them probably not the same day, and I will deliver same day.
Oh, okay.
But most of my deliveries are next day service. So I have all afternoon and evening to make it just perfect for them. I like, Quintin, you're trying to get me there.
Yes, ma'am. I'm
not there. I like what I do, and I like the way my business runs. But I'm proud of you for trying.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
I'm proud of you for that.
Everything hasn't been perfect for you.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah, back in 2014. I had no clue until I read the article in the Moochie News. It started out as a regular day for you at 5 a.m. in 2014.
In 2014, and my life changed tremendously. I have an uncle who has a beach house in Myrtle Beach.
Okay.
But for some reason, the seafood in Myrtle Beach can never be as good as the seafood in Charleston. I applaud that. We do have great fishermen and shrimpers and everything.
I love McClellanville.
Yeah, McClellanville, the best.
Yes.
Anyway, so I met this lady who took people out on excursions. And I was telling her, oh, I've got to go to the fish market because my uncle wants these fish.
Yes.
And, I've got to get them cooled down and ready. It was just before Memorial Day. I said, so he wants them on Friday, and so I'm going to take them up to him and enjoy the weekend with him. Well, she said, I can get all the fish you want because there's a limit to how many fish they can catch out there. So she says, most of my fish I throw back. So she said, I'll just save them all for you. But she told me the day that she was coming, which was a Thursday, but she never told me what time. So that was the time that Bilo was open 24/7, just off of Highway 17. I'm always up at 5 because I have to walk my little chihuahua. Okay? Love my girl Daisy. So I said, well, I'm up, I'm dressed, I have to get dressed to go outside to walk her. I will just go to Bilo and get the ice, and I'll ice down the coolers and have it ready for when she comes with the fish. I was turning off of Highway 17 to make a left. I think it's called Sweetgrass Shopping Center. It's where that Bilo was. It's where Tsunami is now.
I know.
It was that Bilo. I had the light, and there's a turn signal. I saw as I was approaching the turn that this guy was coming down. He was by Ethan Allen at the time, which is very close to that intersection.
Town center.
But not so close that you can't stop. And I said, okay, he's going to get here and see that he's on a stop. I made that turn. He was flying because he had to get to work. He didn't stop, and he crashed into me. He just crashed, and my car had a console in the middle. I had on my seatbelt, but the impact was so great. My body swung against that console and then swung back against the door. The curtains came down. The airbag curtains. I was hit very hard, and then I thought, well, there's nobody out here. And this guy is going to say, I blew the light. And I knew that he blew the light. I said, so I'm just going to sit here for a while and just get my thoughts together because I know in terms of insurance, this isn't going to be good. And I thought I passed out, but I didn't. I didn't because when I looked back up in the rearview mirror, that gentleman had gotten out of the car, but the blue lights were already flashing. The cop was already out talking to him, He saw the whole thing. He said that's the worst intersection in Mount Pleasant because people blow that light all the time. So he parks where no one can see him. So I was like, there is a God.
Thank
because
God.
he saw it and he knew that. But meanwhile, I was badly broken. So I tried to get out of the car, but I was limping very badly. And the officer tried to make me get back in the car. And my little chihuahua was with me, who's still in the car. She's just little, and she could have, if you've ever not smelled an airbag deploy, it's stifling. So I wanted to go get her, but I wanted to come out to say, I know you're here, you know, what do you need, yada yada, but I was limping really badly. So the officer said, you have to sit back in your car until EMS arrives. So I did for a couple of minutes, but now my car is totally disabled. So I can't roll down the windows or anything, and smelling that sulfur, oh my gosh, it was awful. It was overwhelming because that whole side of my car, the airbags deployed. Not the front airbags, because he didn't hit me from the front, and not my side, but that side was enough. Anyway, I had to get back out. But EMS had arrived.
Thank God.
And I denied the service. I didn't, but I'm okay with that. That was my decision. I'm not saying it's a smart decision for everybody, but I didn't want to be one of those people who were like, oh, I'm in an accident. Let's say that I have whiplash. Let's say that I have this or that. I don't want to con anybody out of money. I didn't care. I knew that I was limping, but I thought that it would get better. It was just from the hit of the console. I didn't know that it had crushed my hip. So I literally limped on my leg. So that was on a Friday. Heck, I took a hot bath with Epsom salt.
Oh, yes.
You ever heard of it?
Oh, yes.
My mom lived by it.
Yes.
So I went by and got that limping, went soaked, and the next morning I did feel okay, but I had a guy with whom I worked at MUSC, and he said, you really shouldn't take this drive. And he and his wife said, we'll follow you. And on the way there, with everything that my uncle wanted, I realized that I could no longer use my right leg. So I was picking up my leg to put on the brakes and to go back to accelerate. I knew that I was declining rapidly. This was like the next day. So when we get there, I told them, I'm glad that you're here. I can't make it back. Not sure how I made it this far. You know, God takes care of babies and fools. And I was my mom's baby, and I was a big fool to do that. But I did get there. They did not let me drive back. So that was Friday. So I lived through Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I lived through 6 days. On the 6th day, I asked my husband to get down a walker that I had when my mom was alive. Right? I had that, and I could no longer even walk on it. It had a seat. So I turned it around, and I was sitting on the seat, and I was pushing with the left leg. And he said, what is wrong? You're no longer walking? And I was like, yeah, it's pretty bad. Something's wrong. And he said, well, then we'll go to EMS. Unfortunately, the pain was so bad, he couldn't get me in the car. So they had to call EMS and the fire department and just all of this stuff. It was, anyway, I won't tell you the funny side of that, because the EMS tech who was in there with me, the pain was so bad. And they don't have, like, the squeeze balls. And the driver was saying, I'm going to go really slow so that you don't have to hit any bumps. But every morsel of sand I felt in my hip, it was so bad. And so there was nothing to squeeze. So one time we hit something, and I grabbed his leg. I said, I'm sorry, you're going to be okay. I'm the one who's not okay. So he's like, that's okay, Miss Hill, that's okay, that's fine. So they got me there, and I was in serious condition because my bone had split apart like that. So, actually, that was on a Saturday. I think, no, it was on a Thursday. It was on a Friday. I was watching the U.S. Open. And my girlfriend was with me, and I sat in that walker chair, and I told her, you know what, for some reason, I can't walk you to the door. So, and she's like, Vanessa, I know how to get to the door. That's fine. I'll check on you later. And it was that day that my husband called. I really think that I made it to Saturday. I made it a little over a week on a broken hip that kept splitting open. And so, it was so funny It was not funny because I was in a lot of pain and I was screaming and I was a total embarrassment to myself, but I was in pain. They said, you know, your hip is badly broken. So you're going to have emergency surgery tomorrow. We're going to have to replace the hip, right? Do you know what I told them? I said, okay, tell me what time to meet you tomorrow. And I'll show up in the OR. And they said, that's not the way this works. You've got to stay.
Right.
And the next day I had the surgery. And this leg was put in an inch longer than the other leg. They said that it was so swollen and impacted by me walking on it. I just didn't want to be the person, and because I felt that I had arthritis in that hip anyway, so I didn't want it to be like this big thing. But it was a
big thing.
It was a big thing. So when they put this leg in, it was awful. So I have one leg this much longer than this leg. So I'm walking like that. I'm walking like the movie, The Elephant Man. So I'm putting too much pressure on my good leg, and it began to weaken badly, and the pain was awful. So once again, I was on a walker and a cane, not for the hip that was crushed, but for the other hip, because I had put too much pressure on it. So I had to go in for surgery again. And I told my docs, I said, you're not doing this if you can't make me even. You don't make me even, we're not doing this. And they said, we're going to get you as close to even as we can. And I'm very close to even. I'm not exactly even, but hopefully no one else knows that. But before that, I was walking one day, and I saw my physical therapist, who happened to live in my neighborhood. And she knew when I had had the replacement. She said, Vanessa, you look so much better than you did. You know, I never knew how I looked. I just knew I was struggling. So most of the time, I was sitting in a chair. I tried to get the lifts. The lifts are only for, so no longer was I wearing my 3 and 4 inch heels. The lift is only for one shoe. The shoe weighed more than what I weighed at the time. They're heavy shoes. So I just had to mend. It took me a while. I was mending at the time that the girl from the River Dogs needed me to do that. I was just sitting there anyway. And waiting for what was next. I never asked God what was next. He knows what's next. So I had to wait on him. And that was incidental, and it happened. And it's okay. Like right now, the left leg, which was not impacted by trauma, it's fine. I don't know that. But the hip that was crushed, I feel it right now. I feel it every day of my life.
Matter of fact, I heard that you can't even go on curbs or near a curb because you'll still get in some sort of pain there.
I'm in pain all the time. I have to be very careful going up and down stairs. I know I can't. And if you don't have railing to go up, well, that's impossible. I did a service for a lady who passed, and I loved her. And so I said, I'll do the service because, you know, I was fine. Most of the time I don't feel any pain, but I know that I can't walk it. And I went to go up the stairs to the pastor's podium, and there was no railing. I couldn't walk upstairs. I couldn't walk up those rounded stairs to go and I was heartbroken. That's when I knew I'm never going to be able to do that. So I never tried one step because I knew that I pushed the first step, it wasn't working for me. So I came back down. I went, there was this guy who was the usher. I said, listen, I've had a couple of surgeries. They're not working for me. Could you help me up the stairs? He said, absolutely. He helped me. I got up there. Now, the funny thing about that, because the service was a very joyous service with a lot of laughter, because that's what the deceased wanted, right? So in the end, everybody was very happy, and I was very happy that I had given San a great send-off. But who couldn't get back down the stairs?
You.
Me. So I'm standing up there, and I'm sure people are thinking that I'm rude, and I'm waiting for my husband, who is now outside the church. I'm trying to do ESP thing, like, come and get me, because I can't go down the stairs. Yeah. So, am I disabled? Yes. Has it enabled me to do something different with my life? Absolutely.
And speaking of service, Miss Vanessa, we miss you at the Cooper River Bridge Run.
You know what? Julian and I had a deal. Okay? I met Julian when I worked as the PR person for the transplant center.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Julian was always community and charity oriented.
Sure.
So, before he had all of these charities doing that, he silently gave transplant patients the opportunity to walk or run free.
Wow.
And he sent them the bags with the t-shirt, all that. So it was an exercise. You had to get their size. But they got everything that the paying public got.
Right.
Only Julian said, you've had a transplant, so you don't have to do that. That's how I met him. That's how we partnered.
Sure.
That's how I ended up doing everything that I was doing. But then after about 10 years, because I did that 20 years.
Yes, you did.
After about 10 years, I said, Julian, I don't want to do it anymore. I had left the transplant center. My life had been rearranged. And I said, it's on you. And he said, no, you can't leave me with this. He said, here's the deal. When I leave, then you can leave. I said, okay, because I didn't think Julian was ever going to leave.
Right.
I said, okay, when you leave, then I could leave. That works for me. Well, he left. He died. And I never went back to the bridge run. Never. When he passed, that was it. But everybody knew that. Everybody in the bridge run operation knew that the deal was, if Julian leaves, I leave. Yeah, so I love it. I love it for what Julian built.
Yes, he did.
There was no vision for that race until Julian took the reins of that. I was very proud to see his progress every year. But you know what? I actually think I did all that I could do. I did all that was there for me to do. And it was time for me to do something else. Yeah.
And now, of course, you're doing, obviously, the Southeastern Spine Institute.
I do the Southeastern Spine. And, of course, I have my flowers. Let's never forget Flowers by Vanessa. Never forget that, okay?
Now we got to get you a website.
Yeah. We do. We really do.
Oh, yeah.
We do.
Okay.
My daughter worked on it for a while. So it's almost set.
Okay.
She didn't finish. But things keep coming.
And we got to wrap this up.
Okay. She was almost set. And then I said, let's wait for a minute. Because a website requires a person to just do the administrative part of that. And that wasn't what I had at the time. Now that my husband is retired, we'll give him that part.
Yes.
So you will see a website soon, I promise. Yeah.
What type of arrangements are you making next for your life, for your future?
I did plan television. I did plan being an anchor. That's the only plan I've ever made. So if you ask me what's next, I have no clue. I want to build this business. I want to have a storefront. That's my immediate plan. I don't want to do weddings. They're huge. And the Precious Brides always have very heartfelt demands that me as an only person, I don't think that I could fulfill that. But maybe with the staff one day, I'll be able to do that. I'm still giving myself a year and a half or 2 years. But one day, you'll see me in my shop, and hopefully I'll still have my little Chihuahua Daisy. She'll be laying in her bed, and I will be making flowers like a little old happy lady. That's what I want.
You want. What flower describes you?
Oh, I'd like to say a rose, but isn't that easy?
Yes.
Probably a starburst.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me, the air is changing, I'm changing. I apologize, because It's actually a stargazer.
Yes.
Because the stargazer opens up and looks like that. So the thought is that it always looks up at the moon and the sun. That's where I feel my life is. Wow. I always look up, no matter what happens. So I'm a stargazer.
Yes.
And they come in all different colors.
Right.
So they're fragrant.
Right.
Yeah, that's who I am. I'm a stargazer.
Wow. That is just amazing.
Yeah, and happy to be so. So, one of my other initials is that you'll see stargazers in maybe 75% of my my arrangements.
Wow.
Yeah, because that's kind of like my secret signature that I never told anyone until now. But yeah, it looks up. It's big when it does that. We're not talking a tiny shy flower. We're talking massive glory from God, who, by the way, happens to be the greatest designer that there is. Yes. The more I learn about flowers, the more I go, he did that too? Yes. Did he really pull that off? Yeah. That's excellent. Yes. So I'm amazed by his glory. Yes. By his artwork every day. Every day. It keeps me comforted. He can do it.
Yeah, because he created heaven and earth.
He did. Yes. And everything in between. Yes. And so I get to enjoy like all of his flowers and smell them every day. Yes. And I'm living my best life. That's good. I am not going to complain about anything. The experience at Channel 4 taught me a lot. Yes. It taught me a great deal. I'm happy to have moved to Charleston. And I'm happy to know the people that I know. Yes. I'm happy to have grown into the person that I am now. I thought anchoring was going to be my guide into what I was or into what I would be. Wow. No, life set my path for who I was going to be and where I was going to be and how I was going to do it. Wow. I'm a happy camper.
That is amazing. That is really amazing.
It's very beautiful.
Yes, ma'am. Well, the Vanessa Hill, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. And I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
Keep doing what you do.
Well, yeah, 25 years ago when I was like 13, 14 years old, I didn't know what I was going to be doing in television.
And you ask me those questions. Yes. Yeah.
And now I'm doing what God has asked me to do, to interview people.
And here we go.
Yes.
Now everything bad from this, he edited that. I really didn't say that. I'm applying pressure there, but I don't think that there's any. I'm telling you that I came here almost 25 years ago. Right. I will die here. I'm not even going back to my home in North Carolina. I love it here. This is where I am. Take me or leave me, but I'm here.
You're here. And we thank God you are here.
I'm happy about it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Take care.
Well, you too. Do all the heat and everything. We got this done.
We got it done.
Yeah.
It's a little natty. Yes. And that's okay. But now finally it's over and there's a breeze. Well, who knew? Yes. Right? Who knew? Yeah. Thanks for having me, darling.
You're welcome.
Hope to see you soon.
Sure.